What's going on, everybody, and what's going on, folks? My name is David, and I'm your host of this legendary podcast, the D-constructing Topic podcast, where we grab a little topic and we just deconstruct it, boom, all that good stuff. The D way, that's my name, David. So, hey, listen, welcome to the Deconstructing Topics. We got a good one. It is April. April's here. Time is flying, and I woke up this morning. I'm like, you know what? I got a good episode. Probably a little bit behind schedule, certain things, but hey, listen, that's life. Once again, your boy, the Constructing Topic Podcast. I wake up every day to know that, hey, listen, I got to bring some good information because I want my fellow listeners out there, whether you old, new, from day one, all that good stuff, is that, hey, listen, for me, it's always been a motto of mine is that saving a mind is saving a life in a time where everybody has an opinion on something and so much going on. Let's stay focused on the mission and let's always stay on target with the game plan. And we got a good one in regards to something that is gonna hit me, being that I am a labor leader for over 2 decades now. And I want to talk about the story of Cesar Chavez. That yes, I'm a little late behind. I think I've done heard a little bit of everything, and it's just an interesting topic for those out there who might not be aware of Cesar Chavez, the founder of the Farmers Union a long time ago, or the co-founder, right, with Dolores Huerta and a couple of other people there. I believe that was Gilbert Padilla was there, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. I think that I mean, there's so much labor leaders in regards to the Agriculture Workers Union, become the farmers workers. For those out there that love the strawberries, blueberries, whatever berries, they came to a time whether you was doing some of that labor work in, how can I say, Arizona, California, or even in New York State here, somewhere where we do the apples and the grapes and all that. Keep in mind is that those are wonderful people that do that labor work. And when it comes to the labor movement, we just say to ourselves is that give those workers a fair wage and some time off, medical benefits, whatever it is. We'll talk about it in regards to Cesar Chavez. But the story of Cesar Chavez is the allegations of certain abuse in regards to some of the women that participated in the movement, especially in this case, Dolores Huerta, who just there was some type of investigation in the New York Times. So, hey, listen, let's keep it. I'm gonna just trying to give you guys or my people's here a point of view here. And since you will enjoy my voice and you're gonna be like, damn, I wonder what David gotta say. It's a little controversial topic in a sense, and I will tell you why there's a little controversy in regards to what's happened or what happened. And I'm one to say for those people out there who have been victim of abuse, once again, it's never a too late thing. Do reach out. If it's recent, do reach out, seek counseling. There's always going to be someone out there. Once again, my opinion is always mine. And hey, listen, that's why you are following. You have to follow. And if you are following, then share. Please, I appreciate hitting the like button because the like button is going to actually help me no matter what platform you're on. Get on your laptop, on your smartphone, on your dumb phone, on your flip phone, on your what was that called? The landline. Even there's a hashtag button on that landline. People are gonna be like, hashtag on the landline. Yeah, it's called the pound key. If for those people that don't remember the landlines. And even to this day, there are flip phones that has a quote unquote hashtag, but it's actually the pound key. So let's get it. Let's make it happen. And always, you could catch me and other independent creators in T Juice TV. So we making it happen. So here I am with the Cesar Chavez, me as a labor leader and, pro labor, pro worker, union type of dude to hear this story because I don't want people to be like, oh, is this what happens in the labor movement and these union shops and so on and so forth. Look, abuse happens everywhere. And I'm one to say, in regards to Dolores Huerta, who is the person that basically came out and said, hey, listen, Cesar Chavez over here, he was a hero to many. And for some people out there that, again, let me just put this in a little summary. Cesar Chavez was a big activist, labor, political. He was a big activist. He made that push for the farmers, workers. in the 50s, 60s, and so on to have some good wages. Again, people don't understand how important for those people out there that in the agriculture or even blue collar worker who do trades, hands-on construction, flourish, whatever it is that you out there in the field and in certain conditions. The sad thing is that there's a lot of people in this country, United States of America, who are not given fair wages. And once again, you sacrifice your body, you sacrifice your soul, you sacrifice your time to make sure, in the case of Cesar Chavez, that you get some good strawberries in your plate for those people out there who enjoy the strawberry. Again, we're talking about even back then. The fact that these individuals just asking for a fair wage and so on and so forth. So, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and some of those folks out there, farmers, they decided, hey, we want fair wages. And Cesar Chavez, and I give you an example, me coming to United States, he was one of the first figures that I've heard from stories, especially if you are in the labor movement and you already know. Me being born in the labor movement or at least some type of movement and growing up in the labor movement with other unions, then you already know it's my thing. So a lot of this language in regards to what it is that they Cesar Chavez and the farmers worker did, like listen, that's that's a language that I can relate. That's lingo to me. And I'm here and I'm one to say, hey, listen, now I'm one to say I'm more pro worker than pro union, and in the sense that I'm one to say that if you have a company who can afford, let's say, employees, depending on what you do, but if you do have a certain amount of employees, it would be common sense that happy employees will give you a better product and better production. I think that will be the common sense, and numbers and stats have shown that that's the case. But if you underpay people and overwork people just because you want to get more money in your pocket, then hey, listen, that's sadly that's how that works in many cases. But when it comes to these individuals, we got people who are fighting for the rights of you to make sure that you have medical benefits, good wages, pension, and other things. So then the story happened. Cesar Chavez was born in 1928, 27, and he passed away relatively young, mid 60s, in the early 90s. I believe 1992, 1993. I'm sorry, I'm just in top of my head because when he died, it was like a big thing, and you got monuments all over the place. As a matter of fact, there's curriculums about him. So just to give you an idea, he is a labor leader and well-known labor leader, right? You got the Jimmy Hoffers was a labor leader at one, in a sense, president of the Teamsters, but talking about Jimmy Hoffa and Cesar Chavez, like two different things, but I can see that now corruption sadly takes a different face. Dolores Huerta, when she came out talking about the abuse and she was assaulted by Cesar Chavez, and I want to say that I side with those victims. Doesn't matter whether it's 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Keep in mind is this. People have often, and I've seen people, and look, listen, people are going to wonder why. Why all these years she came out and said this? And I say, I mean, why not? I mean, it's better now than to say never, right? People got to also understand that time flies. And you might say 30 years, but 30 years, especially if you're a victim or of certain circumstances, 30 years will feel a little bit like a blink of an eye. And for this individual, my understanding is that the New York Times had an article, and then the reporter had a 5-year investigation into regards to not just Dolores Huerta, but there was others in which he have assaulted and might have done other crazy things, and especially with those who were underage. So again, it's just baffling to say the least, and it does take away like what what's going on behind that picture, especially someone who's prominent labor figure and someone who work for the better of the life of others. But I'm always want to say, and this applies to the political philosophy in this country. In this country, for the most part, it's run, and I'm going to say for the most part, I mean 99.9% of people out there in Congress, they're affiliated with the Republican and Democrat Party. There's always kind of that thing, back and forth. But it's always the same talking point. And I want to say, oh, we're fighting for our democracy. But at the same time, what we fighting for here, quote unquote, the democracy and rights, I mean, whatever it is, this same country, the powers that be is taken away from another country. Someone is getting killed. And it goes back to what I say in regards to these movements. And in regards to anything that's good, even in certain, again, if you look at the Roman Catholic priest situation here in the United States, the same. I want people to sometimes say to yourself, when there's something good, or we cherish it, we should just say yes, absolutely. But I'm always in the mind that someone else is going to pay the price. And sadly, these victims and these young ladies at that time were paying the price because, remember, you're a prominent labor figure, but you also have power. And with power, that means that sadly everybody's going to say yes, yes, yes to you. And if they don't say yes, then you're going to impose that kind of thing where, hey, you're a man. You're going to impose that to women, especially those who are vulnerable. And there's those who question, like, okay, Dolores, here's the other issue in regards to this. If you definitely was abused, again, these are allegations. They have not been proven in criminal court or anything to that effect. Indeed, if these are allegations, then the understanding is that you was a victim and your silence allowed that other people became victims as well. And that has happened. And I think that her point is that she did not want to destroy the movement because sadly, there's a lot of labor movement that get co-opted and get destroyed. And I agree in terms of that, like, that part there in regards to not wanting to destroy the movement. But again, the movement would have kept on, even if she went out and talked about it. The movement would have kind of came out. I mean, it would have still be a thing because you had other leaders. Cesar Chavez just happened to be the figure or the most vocal, but you had other leaders. So if others victim have they got sacrificed by this movement, it kind of question, was that really the story behind that in regards to not wanting to destroy the movement? And again, I know that there's a lot of victims out there that become victims of these assaults, physical assaults, and sadly they do. It boggles their mind. It kind of changes their perception. They don't think right, and it could take a long time for one to change. But I'm one with Dolores Huerta when it comes to this situation. Now, I like to say, look, listen, in life, for the most part, there's always two sides of the story, right? Here's a little interesting caveat here that I did notice that 10 years ago, there was a conservative think tank group, whatever, Prager University, right? Who were using Cesar Chavez because now here's the kind of sprinkling the icing, kind of like, oh, wait, grab your popcorn. Shit is getting interesting. Is that Cesar Chavez was anti-illegal immigrant because in this country there are companies that use illegal immigrants to undermine union. I agree. I for a fact that's always been a thing. Sadly, again, and I'm not here to put illegal immigrants down. It's just the system here when it comes to. This is why I sometimes it baffles my mind when you got these, especially those in the conservative right, Republican, who are fighting against illegal immigration and so on and so forth. In reality, sometimes I say they're not because some of these Republicans that are in Texas, Alabama, who own factories, business, they use illegal immigrants to bust down unions where they're not too fond of. And the reason is that there's been a history of unions who, for the most part, have backed up the Democratic Party. So my thing that PragerU was using that as to say, look, even your boy Cesar Chavez, who's actually was an migrant. Well, I take it back. He was American. He was born here. And my understanding is that there's interviews where he had issues with Mexico, the Mexican government. It's like, you guys know what you're doing. You guys are like doing that thing I got. Go ahead, illegal immigrants, go. But not really doing anything to keep them in your country. And then again, it's just been situation here in New York City when it comes to the construction. Then I've seen a lot of companies, and I've heard and I spoke where they use illegal immigrants. And again, and I'm not trying to use that term as going after them, but they use illegal immigrants to undermine labor unions, as in the construction field. They just straight up keep those as that's always been a thing. But that doesn't mean that, hey, listen, the guy, whatever. So Prager, you use this. So now my thing is this: you're trying to expose the person, but you're trying to use him at the same time. And then there was been a couple of expose kind of saying, well, even your boy again, Cesar Chavez, he was against illegal immigrants coming through the border. And it begs the question: if Prager, you really did an expose and start investigating that perhaps Dolores Huerta and there was all the allegations, the fact that these allegations have kind of been something that people have been whispering for years. If Prager, you, this kind of right wing conservative group, if they do the thing and Dolores Huerta goes out there and has an interview with PragerU, would we, and I say we, the media and everybody, would we be having this conversation? I'm going to go on a limb then perhaps not. Maybe down the line, yes, but not the way it came out like with the New York Times. Think about it. New York Times, I tend to question the New York Times because the New York Times is that newspaper who has a history of popping wars where they were not true. Hey, weapons of mass destruction, I see you. So now you are this group or this entity that's now exposing Chavez as that's whatever he did. Then one question is that a political move? Does people because they once again PragerU or people in the right, even Donald Trump, is going to use Cesar Chavez as like, oh look, he even said that the reason why illegal immigrants is not a good thing. So now what you do is that you want to kind of question, and now you can't say nothing about Chavez because now nobody can say anything now, right? Because of the allegations. Again, I want people to understand we're not trying to undermine the allegations here with Dolores Huerta or any of the victims at all. It was just my observation that 10 years ago, PragerU did an expose. Yeah. And they could have gone to that rabbit hole. Who knows if they did gone to that rabbit hole before New York Times and Dolores didn't want to talk to them. Now, keep in mind, it's this. She's in her 90s. 10 years ago, she was in her 80s. Sometimes I like to think that perhaps with time, there's a little difference there in regards to like your age, because now you in that plateau that let me just talk. Now, someone said that sometimes in life people are not ready to talk. It could take them forever, which is true. But I'm definitely gonna kind of find out, trying to get into that investigation thing of whether PragerU tried to reach out to Dolores Huertas in regards to the allegations 10 years ago. Again, I like to think and I like to say, and sadly, that's when you are a victim, depending on who it is, then you'll be silenced. And I made my obvious one with Donald Trump. I made the obvious one with Joe Biden, who has a history of accusations and assault. Bill Clinton as well. But again, who gets the limelight versus who? And that's what breaks my heart in regards to this situation or any situations of people in the victim. They want to believe in women, but if they want to believe in women, all depends. If the woman that came out in regards to the allegation of Joe Biden and they were silenced by the New York Times, they will be in question. It's like, so I don't get it, New York Times. So you question these women, you end up Me Too, but then you don't question anybody else, depending on who it is. So think about that when everybody, because I'm one to say we have to hear the stories of victim, no matter who it is that did it, whether it's people in the Roman Catholic Church, whether it's people in the gymnastic years ago with the gymnastic females, whether it's here in the labor movement, whether it's in anywhere we need to hear these victims, whether it's the current president, Donald J. Trump, assaulting women, to Joe Biden, to Bill Clinton, and so on. Like, why is it that people are more in tune to one does, and then the other one he gets a pass or they get a pass? So again, is it really believe all women, or just selectively believe in women? But again, we're here to support each other. Once again, if you're a victim of any assault, please reach out. reach out for help. And we're here. We got each other. You already know. Deconstructing Topic Podcast. We making it happen in the month of April. Let's go. Peace. I'm out of here. Once again, feel free to share this. Hit the like. I'm also on T-Juice, T-Gist TV with my independent people out there. Please, all the information, it's in my subscription. All right. Holla at the kid. Peace.